This is the Holy Mountain Podcast, where we discuss what it means to find rest, regain perspective, and reconnect with the world around us. All right, welcome back, everybody. This is Rebekah Oehler, and I'm back again with my lovely wife,
Rebekah Oehler.
Yep. Today we're going to talk about just the name of Holy Mountain, kind of what's behind that name, how we came to it, and then I think that'll naturally kind of like transition us and segue into the motto. So then we'll spend some time talking about that as well.
Okay, Shane, take it away. Why is it named Holy Mountain?
Yeah, it was Holy Mountain. So this was another time where I would kind of say I don't like take the credit myself, but just spending some time in God's word and came across Psalm 43:3, which at this point I was reading like in the NIV, and I think it is like an older translation. So I have seen this verse read differently, but the way it's in the Bible that I was reading at that time when I came across it, it says, "Send forth your light and your truth. Let them guide me. Let them bring me to your holy mountain, to the place where you dwell."
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember reading that and thinking like, oh, Holy Mountain, like maybe that's the name of, this like nonprofit idea like we talked about last time that I had. And so that was kind of like the working title or like, yeah, just like the working name for a little bit. But if you really dive into it, I think why I like this verse is, so like if you were to kind of deep dive at Psalm 42 and Psalm 43 go together, it's actually like one psalm, and it's a psalm that was written like from somebody that was in exile. And so it's like this kind of like verse that is like yearning for something and like really like yearning to go to the holy mountain. And so like at this point, like the Israelites believed that like the holy mountain was where God like physically dwelt, like where his presence was. And there's, I'd say like different holy mountains kind of like throughout scripture. But Mount Sinai is like a significant one. And so that's like what part of our logo is based off of as well, is Mount Sinai. And like, yeah, we kind of like incorporate that into different things now. But like really what I like about it is like, send forth your light and your truth, let them guide me. And it's like those like concepts where it is talking about like a need for direction and kind of this like hope in pursuit of something. And I think like for sure in the day of like this psalm, it was pursuit of like identity. Like there was like, again, with the Israelites being in exile, there was a piece of their own culture that they weren't living out, and like a piece of what had become their identity with like being the people of God, right? And like worshiping the presence of God on this mountain, specifically. And so I think even for the correlation, like a lot of people kind of like see the outdoors like in a similar way, where that's kind of like this yearning that they have. That might be where they feel like they experience God's presence the most. That I would say like that's been my experience in a lot of ways,
right?
Especially like high school, college, when I started hunting in high school, but I would say really in college, like I had a pretty pivotal moment that maybe we'll talk about like in a future podcast, where I feel like God showed up for me like pretty significantly, like outdoors. And so, yeah, I think that whole verse kind of sticks out in that way. And there's also the aspect where like the writer in exiles, he's like wanting to escape the wickedness of the world, right? There's like suffering and sorrow and doubt that they're experiencing.
Yeah.
And so that's where I feel like it kind of segues into the motto pretty well, where there's this idea of like, if only I could get to the holy mountain, like where God's presence is dwelling, then I can get that escape that I'm looking for. Like I can get that rest that I'm really seeking. Like I can get that opportunity to, again, like disconnect from this evil and like from this wickedness of the world.
Or just like more direction too. Because I think if you think about Moses, right, in those moments, like we always talk about how Moses was not, like on paper, he was not the guy for the job that God put him in and the role that he played. And so it is like another one of those things like we talked about in the previous podcast, like all of these ideas and characteristics and leadership qualities that we're trying to encourage in all of us and that we're called to by God are things that like Moses was seeking out because he needed that direction because he was not that on his own. And so for us and for Holy Mountain, it's like, you know, building the community, seeking the tools and the relationship for those tools and the mentorship and all of those things of, you know, I want to do what I was created to do. I want to live the way that we were created to live and be obedient to God in this life on this earth. And so, yeah, that another symbol of the mountain is going to seek direction from God for something that you know you don't have the tools on your own to do. And the Israelites and Moses needed that because they were failing over and over again. And again, like Moses was not equipped to do the job that God gave him to do. And God used him greatly. So, yeah.
Yep. And the Bible Project actually has like a super cool series on mountains and kind of like what that means. And they talk about holy mountains a bunch.
Yeah.
And so I definitely like recommend people to go listen to that too, because I think it paints like a really cool picture. But
or even in like Revelation, side note, still talking about the mountain.
Yeah.
We just read chapter 21.
Yep.
And it says something about like, Lord, take my spirit, or the Lord will take my spirit to the high mountain. And it's another area where we see the symbolism of where God's presence, there's no separation with his people with these mountains.
Yeah. So like the Bible Project, they talk about how the mountaintop, you know, like we, even in our culture, have those like, excuse me, like those mountaintop experiences. And they say how like in ancient cultures that was almost like understood to be where heaven is intersecting with earth, where like things are different up there, like atmosphere is different, like to a pretty grand scale. And so, yeah, you have these like pivotal things happening on mountaintops. And I think, again, that is true and can be true, like of us today, where like people go out into nature, climb mountains, and like things are different when they get back. Like there is something to that. And again, like we talked about last time, like we would say that because it's pointing to something else, right? Like it's that moment is so pivotal because it's pointing you to like a transformative experience that God can do within you, or that he is actively doing within you.
Yeah.
But,
and I think the action of conquering a mountain too is, I think there's a lot of like pride, but also a lot of humility along the way of like knowing that if you were to do it again, it wouldn't just be like, oh, I've already done it, I can do it again. It's like a struggle. Like you just like come out, you would have to, I mean, not that I've ever conquered a mountain. Okay. Let's be clear. It would be cool too someday,
For sure.
but haven't done it yet. But I could only imagine just the humility of like, how many times you would think like, can I even do this? You know? And so,
because it's also circumstantial, and that's where I think like, so let's jump into the motto, because we're like touching on things that
this plays in perfectly.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. Tell us what the motto is.
The Holy Mountain motto is find rest, regain perspective, reconnect with the world around you. And so like very simply, we'll say rest, regain, reconnect, you know, those like 3 R's to kind of paint that picture more clearly. But find rest, we're really talking about like it's breaking routine, and it's that intentional disconnect. So exactly, again, like the psalmist is talking about, where he's desiring that escape. And so like you can see that, I think like for us today, that escape is that rest, right? That kind of like momentary break where we have time away, whether that's time away from screens, time away from responsibilities, like time away from, I don't know, like talking to the high school students I work with, like we even talked about, sometimes it's a break from friends that you need a break from,
Mm-hmm.
that you know aren't the best influence, and that you like kind of can't get away from
Mm-hmm.
like in normal life. So it can be a break from all sorts of things. But so that's the finding rest. Regaining perspective is really just acknowledging like when you're out in that situation, like you have an opportunity almost to look at your life as an outsider. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think like those mountaintop type experiences are so good too, because like things are so different, right?
Right.
You are so small
Yeah.
when you are out in nature, like on a mountaintop, like those types of things. And so to your point of like, can you like doing it once doesn't necessarily mean you can do it again, because
Right.
like the perspective that I think you ultimately gain most of the time is that you're not in control,
Mm-hmm.
right? We live in like such a cushioned environment where we can have that misconception.
Control is an illusion.
Yeah, yeah.
Shout out to Special Forces.
Yeah, if you've seen that
I
Special
forget
Forces,
which one said it.
yeah, World's Toughest Test. I'm like super bad with the
No, I don't
staff's
remember
names
their
on that.
names.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, he had that point of like control is an illusion. And so many people, I think, in our culture have anxiety, right?
Yeah.
Spin out about different things because they are trying to maintain control
Mm-hmm.
that they never had to begin with.
No.
Like they maybe had the illusion of control,
Mm-hmm.
but ultimately, I think in these moments when we're able to regain perspective, it's really exactly that. Like we're regaining perspective on the fact that we don't have control.
Well, no, honestly, the way our culture is with how people, everything's scheduled, and
Mm-hmm.
oh my gosh, it gives me so much anxiety hearing about everybody's schedule of like dropping this kid off here. It's like from the moment they wake up, their list is it's a to-do list of who has to go where, who's doing what. Like no one is just existing. Like
Right.
no one is just like living. Everyone's on a to-do, and you get stuck in the culture of that because that's all around us. That's how you live your life in our everyday, every week, unless you get out of it, in all honesty. And if you think about it, it's almost like a culture of deceit. Of this is normal, this is what we're supposed to do. You're creating this schedule and this routine that honestly is deceiving you into thinking that reality is one way. And then you go experience real life, which I would beg to differ is actually nature, not technology,
Right.
not the modern day culture. And you were so drastically thrown off by it, and we don't know what to do. And I think that's shocking. And it just shows like how out of touch we are. But yeah, I do think our modern culture and the way that we do live our lives and going from point A to point B, always having stuff to do, I think it's deceiving us and we're out of touch.
Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, it can for sure blind us to just what is actually
Yeah.
like happening, and yeah, like what is true about our circumstances. And again, to the illusion of control, right? We control things even to the degree of like, I mean, literally degree, right? Like
Yeah.
to the temperature in a building, like we are trying to dictate control over that. Like the amount of light that we're experiencing in a given moment, right? That's neither of those things are things that like historically we have had control over.
Right.
And when you're outside in nature, like you recognize that again.
Right.
And so I think that's where coming back like is a cool opportunity, because you take those things and you appreciate them rather than taking them for granted like you have typically done throughout,
Yeah.
you know, the rest of your life. But
It's a
again,
perspective thing.
exactly, that's what it is. It's like all about perspective. And so that's where I think nature again plays like a key role in pointing us towards that perspective shift. And then the last piece is reconnect with the world around you. And so that's kind of going from, again, the break in routine, the looking at your life as an outsider and just kind of like analyzing it, and then recognizing what are the things that I want to do differently. Like the ways, so we just had a retreat, like,
Right.
I mean, at the time of this recording, it was a month ago, probably less, but
A high school retreat.
yeah, a high school retreat at the church I work at. And I kind of like walked them through the Holy Mountain motto, actually, because again, like we talked about last time, this is all based in scripture. And so I kind of like synthesized the Holy Mountain motto after looking at the patterns of Jesus, where he's pulling away from crowds to go pray on a mountain sometimes. Like he is going up to a mountain, like physically. Other times it's like times of mourning, like after John the Baptist was killed.
Right.
It says that like he removed himself and like spent some time in lonely places or like desolate places. And so there's kind of like multiple passages where you see that pattern in Jesus's ministry where he is disconnecting kind of like from the current happenings. And so that was significant to me, and like solitude and just like silence, I think, are like two things that we often don't practice like in our culture today. And so that was kind of what Find Rest was based off of. And then regaining perspective, there's passages that talk about him going up and like praying all night. And then like in the morning, he chooses his 12 disciples, right? So he has these like kind of pivotal decisions in his ministry where he's, again, like Jesus, not saying like he's regaining perspective, but
Right.
you can see where he goes up with with one intention and comes back with like a very specific purpose. And so that's kind of like where regain perspective came from, and reconnect with the world around you. It's now like a purposeful re-entry. And so the way that I talked about it with the high schoolers, like with regain perspective, is have that outside look at your life and ask yourself, is what I believe and how I behave aligned?
Right.
You know, and that was something like at church we talked about a while ago. But that phrase is kind of like stuck with me. I think it's crucial for us all to be thinking about.
Yeah.
Right? Like, are my actions actually lining up with my beliefs?
Yeah.
Because if not, then they might not actually be beliefs.
Yeah, just like that reflection time of like what you were saying of just dissecting. I mean, it could be every little thing in your week, because sometimes it is something little that you're not going to think about on a regular basis, and it's going to over time build up and you have absolutely no idea about it, and it becomes this big issue. Finding that rest, just looking back on it so that you come back with the perspective of like, oh my gosh, I need to be way more aware of these little things, or I need to be way more aware of this big thing that I can't necessarily escape or take out of my life, but I've got to change the way I'm like handling it, the way I view it. Yeah.
Yeah, like one of the analogies that we used was, you know, like you have like the rock that's in the middle of the river with the water running around it. If you're never taking the time to kind of like recognize how that is shaping you, then you might have that intentional rest once a year, once every couple years, right? Like whatever it might be, where then you're actually like asking those critical questions, and then you're able to see like, wow, I have been being shaped like every little moment in all these subtle ways, and I didn't realize who I was becoming until now I'm looking at the person I just am.
Yeah.
That I like never planned to be, never would have wanted to be.
Yep.
But now, like,
you don't even know who you are without being this new person.
Yeah. Or it might feel like too late, you know, like whatever. I don't know. But I think like one of the students, I was super glad that they asked, they were kind of like, well, Shane, like, shouldn't this be like actually built into our routine? Like, is there a way where like rest and like finding rest, and what you're saying is like breaking routine actually becomes our routine? I'm like, that's the ideal. Right. Again, that's like the biblical framework that we see of the Sabbath.
You're like, yes, we're supposed to be doing this, but it's such a foreign thing that it's like a new concept.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that's, why principles like the Sabbath are so pivotal as well, because then it isn't that like once a year, once however many years reflection. It is a weekly time where it's like how, like, again, you're releasing control to God, recognizing like he is working when I'm not. And the world doesn't go around because of me. Like things are still happening.
Yeah.
But then it's also that reflection of like, how was this week? Not how has this year been, maybe, you know, but like, how was this week? And even if it can be.
Because even that's more tangible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, just taking that intentional time to just reflect, whether it's on you, on God, on your family, on your relationships. Yeah, so good.
Yep. Yeah, and so like one of the stories that I think I did share during the retreat, and like I'll share now too, that I think was super helpful for me was like we had just moved to Montana,
Mm-hmm.
And then we went back because I think we had like tickets to a Need to Breathe concert or something. And so we were hanging out with friends for a little bit. But then at the tail end of that, I still had Oregon hunting tags. And so I was like doing a solo hunt. And I think I was planning on being there for like 6 days or something like that. And I remember like as we were driving, because I think I was dropping you off somewhere and then your dad was taking you. I can't remember like the logistics, but we were driving and we get into this like pretty big argument. And I was like, this is the worst thing, right? Like right before a hunt and like right before I'm about to be like solo
Mm-hmm.
in the woods. And I remember like going on this hunt and like day one feeling like pretty defeated. Like this is not how I want to start.
Yeah.
But then that time, and especially being alone, and like I said before, like the outdoors have been that time where like I feel like kind of I don't know, the communication line between God and I is just like way more open. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
clearer. It's so much easier.
He's the only person you have to talk to. Let's be
Right.
honest.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I'm on this trip and I'm just thinking back like, okay, we had only been married for like a year and a half. We had a kid that was 6 months old or 9 months old or something
Mm-hmm.
like that at this point. Or maybe would have been close to our 2-year anniversary, I think.
Yeah, probably. Since
so
our
yeah,
anniversary
is in September.
is
Yeah.
in September during hunting season.
Yep.
Way to go.
Story for another time.
Yeah, for real.
But yeah, so I was thinking like, okay, I'm like a pretty new husband. I'm a very new dad. And that time away was such good time for me to reflect and just kind of recognize there are things that like I am not doing that I want to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Or there are things that like I'm doing a really poor job of that I need to put way more like purpose and intention behind.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I remember like at that trip kind of making these like SMART goals. So people don't know what SMART goals are. SMART goals are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. And so again, for me, right, this moment of feeling like I haven't been the greatest husband or like I could be a way better husband, I could be a way better dad. Like I remember planning to like implement family days, like very intentional family days
Mm-hmm.
where like it's going to be no screens, like maybe we'll play a board game or like a card game together.
Yeah.
And so it was like I had identified like a certain day that we would do this. So that's specific. It's measurable. It's once a week. It's attainable. Like that's realistic, like one day a week. It's relevant, like super relevant because these are the specific areas, right, that I had just identified what I had believed about and what I was behaving like were out of alignment.
Mm-hmm.
And then time bound, I'd said like, okay, like 6 months, let's kind of like review this and see how it goes.
Okay.
And so I remember like that was me, I think the most clearly living out the motto.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like it was so impactful for me
Yeah.
and feeling like that literally just like changed my life. Like those 4 days in the woods, because I ended up coming home early. Because I remember like that was part of it too, where
Mm-hmm.
I had recognized like I think it was 2021. I want to say the fall of 2021.
Probably.
And so like we had been doing Holy Mountain for like a year.
Yeah.
Like I have the outdoor like Instagram page that I had identified too on that trip. Like I feel this pressure to do something
Mm-hmm.
and like be somebody and like punch a tag because like I feel like if I actually want to do Holy Mountain and I want to teach people about the outdoors and have that be the main focus, like I need to be somebody, right?
Yeah.
Like I need to prove myself. And then I have this like outdoor page and like everybody thinks it's cool if you're killing something. And if you're not, then
Right.
like
It's
you're
like
a
a whole
failure, right? So it was like
thing.
those
Yeah.
things in my head that I had recognized too, like these outside pressures are influencing more and I care more about that, or I had been caring more about that
Mm-hmm.
than I cared about my own family.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, that is not okay.
Right.
And so that's why I was like, I'm going home early.
Yeah.
And like, I I mean, you could vouch for it now. Like, I'm not one to do that.
No. No, I mean, that says a lot. If you leave, especially a hunting trip,
Yeah.
if you leave it early, knowing there's more days to potentially kill something for you to leave it early because of family. Not even like I mean, like, yeah, family problems, but not even like family. It's not like someone was in the hospital, you know,
Right,
it was
no,
like,
not family
it could
problems,
have been
but it was,
solved later.
yeah. But it was more so just my own recognition. Like, I had not been who I should have been.
Yeah.
And that's priority, right?
Yep.
And so I need to lay this other thing down
Right.
to go kind of like,
Deal with your issues.
yeah, and like take the responsibility back.
Yeah.
Like not
I like vaguely
escape
remember
as in
this
like
whole
run
thing.
from it. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's like a helpful distinction, maybe like
Yeah.
finding rest. You're not running from your problems by any means. Like,
No, it's not the checkout.
yeah.
Like, it's not like a vacation.
Right. Yeah.
It's intentional
It's
time.
not a twiddle your thumbs rest. Like,
Because that wasn't what Jesus was doing.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, wow, this was so heavy. I'm going to go mentally check out for a little bit.
Right.
You know, like, no, that's not what, it's not what it is. As much as that's nice, you also come back not feeling any better.
From that type of
that type of
yeah.
you know, that type of a rest. It's like, it doesn't really do much for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's really rest. The emphasis on desolate places too, and like wilderness is like what some translations in the Bible would call it. Like, I think it's super cool if you look at like the whole of Scripture, like these wilderness stories that, you know, people might be familiar with, of like the Exodus, right, out of Egypt,
Right, that's
Israel's in the wilderness. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Those types of stories are always where like God is providing for his people and they further learn their dependence on God.
Right.
And so I think that's like another one of those super cool pictures of like the motto, right, in action. It's where you're actually recognizing your dependence on God. And the regaining perspective is, like we talked about, like you're not in control, right? There's more at play than you.
Yes.
Like, I think that's one of the biggest things too. And that's, I think, what hunting like consistently humbles me, right? But it also like consistently reframes things as like, look, Shane, this isn't about you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, to an extreme, like you could die, this goes on.
Yeah. This is bigger than you.
Yeah. Whereas again, if we're in our day to day, like we can definitely have that, we can believe the lie that we're the main character.
Yep.
So that's where like I really, again, think like that is an experience that we can provide people, right? And like if there are these like mentor groups like we talked about, or there are these trips that we can do, like that's what we can help people also go through. But that's where I think the motto connects like with Holy Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, those are the things that we can be doing, and all of that happens so naturally in the outdoors. And so like thinking about those mentor groups, like that could happen on a bow hunting trip, on a backpacking trip, on a fly fishing trip, like whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
Right. The motto can happen out there. Like that's like a perfect opportunity to go through that process and kind of like have it laid out like that, where like everybody is kind of working through that on their own. And so like we did with the, students I work with at the retreat, like we taught a lot about like journaling in that first night and kind of how that's recognized like as a spiritual discipline by some, and referenced Donald Whitney's book on spiritual disciplines to kind of like work through that. And so that's, something like I would highly encourage people to do. Like if this process is like interesting to you at all, or like if, you'd be curious to know kind of what it looks like. We talked about journaling a lot, and then kind of questions like for each of those. The first after find rest was like really just like have that time and encourage them to kind of like free journal, right? Like journal the things that are coming to their mind.
I mean, you made them after each like little session take 45 minutes, was it?
Yep. Yeah,
to just
45
sit
minutes.
And either journal or just be in the quiet.
Yeah. So then, yeah, the questions that I had them do after Regain Perspective was, do what I believe and how I behave match up? Looking at your life from the outside, what are you seeing? What do you think and feel about what you're seeing? How are you doing as a son or daughter, sister or brother, friend, student? You know, you could kind of like fill in the
Mm-hmm.
blank. Like when I'm looking at the things that I do and the roles that I have, like how am I doing? And
Yeah.
then like what needs to change? And Reconnect is like then really going into that, like what have you identified that is out of alignment? What are you wanting to do differently? And then what's going to hold you accountable?
Mm-hmm.
Which is where I think again, like the SMART goals can be like really helpful within that process. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that's kind of the structure of the motto.
Okay, so then my question to you
Yeah.
is, how are you living out the mottos? Like, what does that look like for you? Or,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could also speak for our family also. I can speak for myself if.
Yeah. I mean, I can share about like myself individually because like we talked about in the very beginning, there's different ways to go about finding rest. And I also think that there are like different kind of like scriptural precedents that were set as well.
Mm-hmm.
For myself, I know I like really need to pursue a break and let this like disconnect
Mm-hmm.
when I'm getting like really stressed, like short temper, tunnel vision,
Yep.
you know, like those things are starting to flare. I remember like you've told me before, like maybe you should go into the woods this
Yeah.
weekend, you know, like you've encouraged me, like knowing like that is like a rhythm that I need. And like, yeah, you can see when I'm needing
You
it.
have, yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah. Have some tells. Yeah.
Yes.
And so, yeah, like my hunting trips like are huge parts of that. But sometimes it is just like going to Lone Pine, like we talked about last episode, and like shooting my bow. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's a rhythm that we're hoping to build in more, right? Where it is that intentional, like more rhythmic disconnect. But I would say on a grander scale, it usually is like those bigger trips, like in the woods, are kind of like where I'm having
Right.
this time.
And there's like, I mean, we've talked about it. There's like the awareness of the season of life we're in right now, too. We're like, this current season of having little kids
Yeah.
is probably the season where we will get the least amount of like solo time. That's why you're not like,
Right.
honestly, you're having more like hunting seasonal trips than actual like every month I'm getting out and doing an outdoors activity, because a month will fly by and you haven't done any of that.
Yeah.
Just because your presence is needed at home.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, as our kids get older,
But
there's
also like you
opportunity.
can get caught up in the motions. Like that's
We
something
do.
that happens so easily.
But also we've talked about, as our kids get older and are more capable, them joining you.
Which, yeah, I mean, again, like there could be trips where they join me. That might not mean it's actually like a restful time.
I mean,
Right.
that's fair.
Where I would say I'm actually like living the motto. You could
Yeah.
again like kind of like nodding to a future episode again, like that might be me living the values, but that might not be me living the motto.
Yeah.
And kind of like a saying that we've kind of like had within Holy Mountain too is like live the motto to live the values. And so like I do think like the motto is kind of like square one
Mm-hmm.
that does kind of like feed you and get you to that point where then you can accurately live out the values of share, shepherd, and shoulder. And like I said, like we'll talk about that later, and that'll probably hopefully make more sense, you know,
Mm-hmm.
in the future. But that's where I think, yeah, I do think the solo time can be vital when you are thinking about like going through this process. I think that's like a key requirement. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, for sure. Like I want our kids to be able to come with me on trips in the future, but I will for sure also still need my own like solo time and solo trips.
For sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd say like my time outdoors shooting my bow is really when that's happening. But I think like in the more mundane, quieter moments, like even like quiet times, like times when I'm reading and journaling, like in God's word, I can be going through that same process where it's dedicated time, like set aside, regaining perspective, recognizing like, okay, I'm doing my job and I'm being faithful to the things that are before me, but ultimately like there's more at play, bigger things at work. And like I don't have to be the one that's like stressing about every little detail or every little thing. And then hopefully from that, like, is how I'm reconnecting as well, like on a daily basis. But yeah, why don't you talk a little bit like about our like family rhythm?
Yeah. So last fall was when we got introduced to the idea of what would it look like to create a family Sabbath, a Sabbath day for our family. And leading up to then, we had always been like trying to figure out ways to incorporate like a family game night or just an intentional family day, so that if there was on the weeks where a lot of things come up and it's super busy and we might be like ships passing or we're just not getting the downtime as a family, that we would have something literally in our weekly schedule that is a routine that we just know like, oh, at least we'll have like family game night or something like that. So then the idea of creating a family Sabbath was introduced to us, and it was something where, it just definitely was something that we wanted for our family. And so we discussed kind of like our weekly schedule of like what day would make the most sense and da 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 da. So now, every Friday is our family Sabbath, because that's Shane's first day off of the week. So he gets home Thursday night, and it's nice to have a little like family dinner of like his work week is done. What was it? There was something like the people who were teaching us about it were talking about like scripture of what the Sabbath was like in biblical times for the Israelites. And they were saying like, what's the verse where they were like, they would coat the children's tongues with honey or something sweet. Almost just
be like a drop of honey. And it would be like, that would be almost like how we would say it's not like classical conditioning, right? But it was like a drop of honey would kind of like mark the start of the Sabbath for all the kids.
So it was kind of like, making it something special. So every Friday morning we make chocolate chip waffles because our kids are obsessed with chocolate. And they start the morning. Shane gives them like a handful of chocolate chips. We eat waffles for breakfast. We try to not be on screens. We're not consistently amazing at that. But we'll like play worship music or like instrumental worship music in the background and just kind of create this like ambiance where the day stands out. It's not just like any other day. And that's like the intent is like, this is a family day and it isn't going to be just another day. Now, we've gotten into the habit to where it's not like a forced thing anymore. Like our Sabbath is like we all are just conditioned to know the Sabbath is Friday. So we have some weeks where we have not been like as strict, and it can sometimes seem like another weekend day, and that's not great. But I think the whole idea is that it's over time a consistent thing, less than like being perfect and regimented every time. And some weeks we need it to be something is more restful than the last week, but we try to keep it consistent with limited screen time, preferably no screens, but if we do screens, it's intentional. Like we really are like, okay, well, if we watch something, it's got to be something we all can watch together, or something like along those lines. And then the music, the waffles, and then we also had the thing of, well, we don't necessarily need to like not do any outside things on our family Sabbath, but whatever we do on that Friday on our family Sabbath, we do as a family. So it's never just one person going off and doing something. Although I did make the joke of, because they had said like your Sabbath needs to be something that isn't work for you. So I made the joke that well, Shane can't leave me with the kids on Friday because that would be like just another day since I'm a stay-at-home mom. But I can leave him with the kids because that would be different for both of us.
No.
But no, he did not like that idea.
Yeah, because what he talked about was like, it's not like some people were like, well, can I not do any work? Because if I don't do work on my day off, then nothing, like no house chores get done or anything like that. And so he was just encouraging like us all, like, well, think about like the things that feel like work, try to not do them.
Yeah.
Like when you can. But like if there's other stuff that you have to do or like needs to be done and it doesn't feel like work and like you enjoy it, then yeah, like go for it. And again, so we like, do have things that like I will do some stuff on the Sabbath, but none of it feels like work to me. No. Like it's like enjoyable stuff that again, I can be like present with the family while I'm doing it.
You can bring the kids in. And that's the other thing too, is like for me, like cleaning the house is like work for me. So I try my best to like refresh for the Sabbath on Thursday. And if I don't, it's not the worst thing. It's not like vacuuming is going to kill me. It will take me like 10 minutes. Cause for me, a tidy home is what calms me, and I'm relaxed by that. And I think we all are. Like we all enjoy rest more together when things are tidy and it's not just a bomb went off. So yeah, trying to like set ourselves up for success on Friday. If we do things, try to like do something that can be interrupted by the family and it's not going to enrage us. Like we're okay. It's not an inconvenience to everybody else. There was one more thing with the Sabbath. You said something. Oh, season of life. That was another thing we discussed of like, our Sabbath, especially right now, is not going to look like Shane and I checking out and not having to do any work because we have little kids and they need something. They're going to be needy and we have to provide for their needs. So it was kind of just a perspective shift and a little bit of trial and error the first few weeks of like, how do we actually experience our Sabbath the way that we're supposed to while also still having to make food and cook and change diapers. And if someone, you know, spills or makes a mess on their clothes, having to like wash their clothes. Right. That's all work and that's all every stuff we're doing every day. And that can sometimes make it feel like just another day. So again, I think that goes along with line with stuff of like being intentional about creating a day of rest for our family, but also having the perspective, right, of like what's actually important, what's actually going to make sense for this season of life for our kids, for us. And yeah, how do we do that? So, and so far I've enjoyed it a lot
too, is like, you're not like working for the Sabbath, but hopefully you're working from the Sabbath. And so like the Sabbath is like fueling the rest or like what becomes like that next work week. Yeah. And it's not like, oh my goodness, I cannot wait until I can finally get there. Right. But, and so that's where, again, I think like it correlates super well to the motto where like we would say, live the motto to live the values, because it's not like we're like straining so hard in the way that we live and like never waiting for this break and for like the opportunity to live the motto. But hopefully in the ideal sense, like we're living the motto in that rhythmic pattern and in a way where then it's like sustaining us to then live the share shepherd shoulder, right, like values driven lifestyle like the rest of the time. And so I think like that's another kind of cool correlation with the motto and the values and like with the Sabbath and kind of like a classic like work week, that type of a thing. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Just being intentional. I mean, another thing, if anyone cares, I'll just keep going since we're on the topic of our Sabbath. As I'm like talking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, is like intentional themes for the day. So I bought the girls like special coloring books, special books, and everything's Bible themed. So they have like Bible scene coloring books, Bible verse coloring books. So that again, if they need something to do, but we're trying to prevent screens or stuff like that,
I have special coloring books that are just for the Sabbath for them to do. And to them, that's exciting. Like that it's a special day. They get chocolate chips. They get family time. They get to be a part of stuff. They have special Bible coloring books. We have all these Bible storybooks that we do. We bought family devotionals. These are all things that, you know, hopefully someday we're incorporating all of those every single Sabbath as our kids get older. Right now, we're lucky if we kind of like get any of that stuff done, because some days are just like hectic and crazy. But I think another cool thing too is like Adventures in Odyssey from Focus on the Family. We'll listen to that on our Sabbath as a family. And so there's things that we can do that are like effortless, that can be slightly entertaining, but it's also bringing us together. We're discussing things, like we're learning together. And
again,
yeah, it's just a very impactful day.
Like those are all focused on the right things.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's the shift in the mindset of like the rest of the week, maybe we're reading books, we're talking about different things, we're focused on different things, we're watching different shows.
Right.
On the Sabbath, it's that reorienting back to like what is the priority? What is the most important thing? And it's, again, the fact pointing towards like there's something bigger going on.
Yep.
We aren't the main characters. And like there's more to it than this. We aren't in control. Yeah.
And it's been fun to see our kids, because I remember the guy who shared that first idea that last fall, how his kids shared, and they said, and his kids, the daughter that shared is like a high schooler. And she had made the comment that the Sabbath has become something where like they're thankful when they get to their Sabbath in their week. And you know our kids are not always going to be thankful for it. Like that's just the reality of life. But I'm so happy to see like they get excited about Odyssey. They get excited about biblical truths and learning more about that and discussing that in time with the family, because we're like all of those things land on a day that we've made special. And our kids have caught on to that, and they're equally adding to making it special. They're not just like blindly following, they're like equally coming a part of it. And it is a family thing now, less than you and I just forcing them to do something.
Right. Yeah. Like even this last Friday, I was making waffles, and then our middle kid right now, Rain, came up. And when I give
almost 3.
Yeah, almost 3. When I give the girls like their chocolate chips, I'll tell them Happy Sabbath. And like this most recent Friday, well, I was actually up earlier than everybody, so I had already had stuff like laid out. So Rain like came upstairs and she saw like her plate ready with the chocolate chips, and she like grabs one and just looks at me and is like, Happy Sabbath, Dad.
Oh,
you know, so like again, like she knows that rhythm and that routine, and she's like enjoying participating in it. It's not like a begrudgingly, like it's the Sabbath, but she's like, Happy Sabbath, Dad. Like
every week we get to Wednesday and Selah will be like, she counts it by like what we do on the days, and she'll be like, it's almost Sabbath.
Yeah.
And it's like, we don't do anything crazy. We have no crazy plans other than, it's our family Sabbath.
Yeah.
So that's been, again, I know it's not always going to be like that all the time with our kids, and they go and they get in moods just like we all do. But it has been super encouraging. And I'm so thankful that we've started that young. Like,
for sure. I'm
so happy that we're doing this now with little kids and starting this young. Because, I'm not getting rid of it. Like even when our kids are out of the house, and be like, grandkids, it's our Sabbath.
Yep.
You coming over or what? And just love that. And even like when we take it outside, like if we go to Costco because we need to get groceries, it's a family outing, and we're taking we'll take our Sabbath with us into what we're doing. And like you and I will purposefully, like I've noticed our perspective changes. Like when we go out on the Sabbath and do things as a family, like we're way more self-controlled over like checking our attitude. Doesn't mean that we don't like get frustrated or like, oh, I can't believe you're asking me that, or we're overwhelmed. Like, yes, but I check myself like so much faster because I'm like, I'm not about to ruin our Sabbath day. Are you kidding me? perspective.
Yeah.
And it does. And I feel like I've seen it happen to you too, where it's like, we know it's the Sabbath, so we like force a perspective check for ourselves. So no, it's so super good.
It's good. Well, we'll wrap this one up at this point, but that's a little bit about the name, like behind the name of Holy Mountain. And again, Psalm 43:3 was that kind of main theme verse. And then like we would talk about, like we would encourage people to live the motto. That's kind of what we've framed as like community photos, you know, things like that, like wearing the merch that is like living the motto, like what we like encourage our community to do. So yeah, definitely encourage people to find rest, regain perspective, and reconnect with the world around them. Becca's going to hit us with a epic outdoor quote to fully end our time.
I know. I need to get a different like title for them, like just quote.
Oh,
because I don't know if it always has to be outdoors.
Has to be like a cool segment of the show.
Okay, here's one. This one is by Angie W. Crosby. Everyone needs a place to retreat, a spot where the world grows quiet enough for the soul to speak.
There you go. Thanks, Angie.
Thank you, Angie. Shout out.
Love it.
That's so good.
All right.
Until next time.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Bye.